at ground zero.
So I feel a little bad for my friends over there standing up. I've got about 11 pages of notes, but I'll try and be brief. I learned from Mr. Nesbitt. Can you hear me okay back there? Matt? All right. So it is an honor and privilege to be here today, joining a list of very well-known and very respected members of our community. Joe Rieger, our Chief of Police, Mayor Cahill, Supervisor Nesbitt, Senator Nozzolio, Assemblyman Johns, and a brother and friend of mine who you'll hear next, who my kids call Uncle Mark, past Chief Mark Cholach. More than that, I'm humbled to be here speaking with you today. I'm a relative newcomer to Webster. My wife Karen and I moved here when we were starting our family, the two of us plus our sons Zachariah and Gabriel, in 1999. Since we've been here, we've been joined by two of our lovely daughters, Sabria and Rana. We came to Webster because I heard it was an amazing community. I'd been a volunteer firefighter since 1990 and a paramedic since 1996, and wanted to join a community that had a strong fire and EMS system, and Webster had just that, and it still does today. We built our house walking distance to a fire station, and I joined the Northeast Quadrant Advanced Life Support paramedic service as soon as we'd finished unpacking boxes. What many people who aren't first responders and don't belong to the Brotherhood may not understand is that firefighters, police officers, EMTs, all of whom are here today, are part of my family as well. These are the men and women who, like me, are ready to sacrifice our lives to save yours. We have stood together through some great times and some pretty awful times. We laugh, we cry, and regardless of which uniform we are one family through thick and thin. 15 years ago, I learned what it meant to be part of that brotherhood. My last name is Mustafa, and I am a Muslim. When my boss called and asked me where I was the morning of September 11th, 2001, telling me a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center, my stomach flipped. I'm also a pilot. I was supposed to have been flying commercially that morning, but because it was Zachariah's first day of school at St. Rita's, I had moved my flight. I looked at the TV in disbelief, as many of you here did today, and thought, what a horrible accident. Then we took Zach to his pre-K orientation and learned that another plane had struck the second tower, and I knew something was up. When we heard two other planes had been hijacked and crashed, I realized at that moment it could have been me. I was scheduled to have been on the flight that struck the Pentagon, but rebooked that flight to attend Zach's first day of school. It was the first time of several he saved my life, and I've never missed a first day of school since then. Karen and I scooped up the boys and dashed home. I locked all our doors, I loaded my rifles and pistols, and was prepared to defend my family. But from what? My wife Karen looked at me, as she often does these days, like a nut, and told me to settle down. I told her this was an act of terrorism, and that people would think I was one of them because of our last name. She reminded me that people who knew me, who knew that I would lay down my life for anyone in this community, just like all of these guys over here, would realize I wasn't one of those idiots. Those idiots were not Muslims. They were deranged humans who had no regard for the sanctity of human life. So after I got my wits about me, I put my guns away and went to my fire station. No one looked at me any differently than the day before. Mike Gabrielli of Marina Dodge was putting American flags on cars in his lot, and I took a dozen and we put them on fire trucks. I called Monroe Ambulance, where I worked at the time, and put my name on the list to go to Ground Zero and help. And I wondered if they'd really pick a guy with the last name of Mustafa to help. 2 days later, they did. And I saw firsthand, as only one of two paramedics in the pile for almost 24 hours, what terrorism could do. And I saw that they had failed in their goal. I had Mustafa on my coat, on my helmet, and no one even looked twice at me. I was thanked for being there, for supporting the effort to find our brothers and sisters in the hope that a few could be saved. We were one big family working together in the hopes that we would find survivors. The terrorists had not succeeded in dividing our nation, and after 24 hours I went home with my crew. Shortly thereafter, Senator Nozzolio awarded me the New York State Liberty Medal. I'm really, to this day, not sure what I did to deserve such recognition. It was an honor that I will never forget, and it hangs proudly in my home. But what I was also reminded of that day, and every day since, was what a brotherhood I belonged to. That fellowship of first responders here in Webster, New York State, the United States, and around the world. We are a unique breed of crazy people, willing to sacrifice our personal time with our families, our mental and physical health, and even our lives to save others. We are police officers who put themselves in line of fire every day. We are firefighters who run into places that others are running out of. We are EMTs who take on the pain and suffering of others and fight to cheat death so that fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters can go home. We are the soldiers who leave their families for weeks and months to serve at home and abroad on bases and ships so that we can enjoy the freedoms we have become accustomed to here in the United States. But today, we could easily focus on the tragedy that took place 15 years ago. That is what the terrorists want, for us to live in fear and be divided. We are stronger than that. My request of each of you today is not to remember September 11th, 2001 for what the terrorists did. That is what they want. If we do that, they win. Instead, please look around. Look at my brothers and sisters. Look at Matt. Look at Brandon. Look at Ben and Jason. And look at all my brothers lined up standing here today, who live and work in your community and who dedicate their lives, who put themselves at risk and are ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for you. As you are standing, or if not, please stand up for a minute and join me in a round of applause for these heroes. Thank you for helping remind them that Webster, New York, Monroe County, the state of New York, and the United States thank them all for what they do for us and are willing to do for us every day. Please also take a moment to thank the first responders in our community on a daily basis. When tragedy strikes or anniversaries come around, we gather, we celebrate, we applaud, we recognize these heroes in our community for that day. But remember, these heroes are here every day, 365 days a year for you. When you see them at restaurants or on the streets or at standbys during community events, walk up and say thank you. You have no idea what a thank you means to a first responder. We don't dedicate our life to others for money. In fact, many of the people standing over there do this for free or for marginally more than what fast food workers make today. We do it for the knowledge that what we do is appreciated by someone. That appreciation validates why we do what we do, and it is what makes living in a community like Webster so special. We do live in a great town, where life is worth living, in large part because of those that stand before you today. Thank you for letting me share my hopes and thoughts with you, that September 11th won't be remembered as a day of tragedy, but one of victory. One where we fought for what made us different, and let the fact that we are all Americans, and we stand strong together. What makes us strong is that when the entire world looked at us in utter disbelief, wondering how a city, a state, a nation could recover from this, we showed them what it is to be an American. We let the world know that this country is full of heroes. We must remember those who risked their lives on that fateful day to save strangers, when more than 400 heroes lost their lives. But we must also remember the everyday heroes that have been part of the fabric of this country and community before, on, and after September 11th, 2011. As I said earlier, I am humbled to be here tonight. Thank you for allowing me to share a few minutes to share my thoughts, and thank you for recognizing my friends, the real heroes of Webster. God bless all of you, our village, our town, my brothers, my sisters, and God bless America.
Thank you very much, Ahmed.